Espalier Formation. In this training, we will focus on how to maintain espalier. Espalier is the horticultural practice of controlling woody plant growth. In contrast to other formations we've talked about, espalier are frequently shaped in flat, wide, formal patterns and are supported by a structure such as a wall or a latticework. An espalier is not a particular plant species, and in fact any plant species can be trained to grow as an espalier. At BYU, we currently maintain two different styles of espalier. Style number 1, individual stems. Style number 1 is the style we typically favor for espalier supported by wall-like structures. Using this technique, plant stems that share common roots are trained to grow individually and separately, rather than as one collective plant. We've been given the following guidelines for espalier style number 1. Each espalier should be comprised of individual stems, rather than be allowed to fill in and appear as a single plant. The angle of each stem in relation to the ground should be no less than 45 degrees. Each stem should have a round tube-like look to it. Each stem, including the leaves, should be about 6 inches in diameter. As stems approach 6 inches in diameter, new stems ought to be trained to grow up and replace the old ones. We want each espalier to fill the space of the surface it was designed to fill, growing to within 6 inches of the edges of things like sides of walls and capstones. At the same time, we try and space the stems at least 1.5 to 2 feet apart. We want each espalier to be quote-unquote interesting and unique from the surrounding espalier. In other words, not every espalier should have the shape of the letter W. Stems that split and branch off are considered quote-unquote interesting. Each stem ought to grow so that it slightly leans toward the surface it was designed to fill. This will give the stem added strength to keep things like heavy snow from weighing down the plant stem. Style number 2. Style number 2 is the style we typically favor for espalier supported by lattice structures. Using this technique, plant stems that share common roots are trained to grow and appear as a single two-dimensional plant. We've been given the following guidelines for espalier style number 2. Each espalier should be trained to grow and appear as a single plant, rather than as individual stems. We want each espalier to fill the space of the surface it was designed to fill. Each espalier should be pruned so that it appears to lie flat against the surface it was designed to fill. And each espalier should be pruned as tightly as possible, but not so tightly that stems are exposed. This is the end of the espalier formation segment of our training video. We realize that when it comes to espalier, there's a lot of room for personal preference, but we hope that this training will give you a better idea of how we prune plants with an espalier formation at BYU.